Spirit has kind of been harping on us for the last couple months, asking us, in what way are we meeting ourselves daily? So it's very easy to become very busy and distracted and to wake up with really good intentions of how we're going to meet ourselves and then suddenly be so tired or so fatigued or just needing to zone out or zen out that we don't have that oomph or the energy required to be with ourselves in the way that Spirit is requiring in a devotional way. And so we're really, once again, being encouraged to enact some type of daily discipline. And that does not mean that every day we're regimented and we get up at this time and we do this thing. Actually, what it means is that we every day meet ourselves in whatever way the flow designs. And one day that might be laying in bed an extra hour. One day that might be going to, the balcony and having a cup of coffee and just really setting our intention with deep presence. It could be something different in every moment, but it requires a level of devotion, and the frequency of devotion is what stays the same. It's the discipline itself. And what that is going to do, Spirit is saying, is allow us to release this armor that we have been carrying, because we have all created these overlays or these masks to move us through life in ways that allow us to be relatable and to get our needs met. And this armor is uncomfortable and it's burdensome, and we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven like children if we're carrying all of this doo-doo, all of this luggage. We can't do it. And we've been talking about on many calls now that we are going through this metaphorical experience of death, all of us collectively, and we simply cannot take this baggage where we're going, the way that we cannot take it through physical death. And so Spirit is saying we can release this armor when we begin to allow ourselves to have boundaries, to live in our alignment with integrity. So boundaries are exactly what allow us to live in our alignment. If we do not have boundaries, we cannot possibly be aligned. And if we don't know what boundaries are, we can ask for divine guidance. We can say, Spirit, please show me, where my energy leaks are, and show me where I need to firm up and be more courageous in holding these boundaries. We're being encouraged to be mindful of codependency and enmeshment. So anywhere that we are codependent in a relationship rather than interrelated, this is the time of sovereign beings. And so if we are projecting onto another that they cannot do something, we are actually holding them back in their weave through our projection. So once again, being mindful of codependency and enmeshment and addressing where we are overwhelmed in the presence of other people. And this is a big thing, particularly since the quarantine and lockdowns of 2020. Many people began expanding their energy fields. They, might not have always have been comfortable on the physical level, but the spiritual body expanded in ways that it did not have the opportunity to do in that 9 to 5 grind. And now we have kind of forced those souls back into the matrix in the same way that it was before. And they have a changed frequency, and everyone is shifting forms. And Spirit is saying we're going to be overwhelmed now in ways that we were not previously, and particularly around other people. And this is natural and normal. It's not something to become reactionary or judgmental about others or ourselves. It's just simply something to understand that as we change a frequency, we also shift forms, that we are connecting to the crystalline grid, and that as we become more sensitive and transparent, we're actually absorbing others' feelings like a sponge. So once again, this calls in this perfect boundaries, this need to be boundaried and to know the difference between ourselves and another. And Spirit said, because we're feeling these feelings so strongly from others, we may even feel that we need to heal or fix them so that we can feel better around them. And we're encouraged instead to get grounded. And we've heard many times over to get our bare feet on the ground, to put a towel down if it's too cold. There's this feeling from Spirit of like no excuses, like this is the way that we clear the interference between the human and the divine. So once again, being clear about our personal boundaries, and Spirit saying, if we're not sure how to do this, we can pray for divine assistance. Imagining this golden, sparkling egg of energy around our bodies, And this kind of acts as this field that allows us, if we're a visual person, to kind of visually sense this. And if we're not a visual person, we can use our intent to say that it is there. Another option Spirit said is to place a rose on the outside of our aura. So once again, this is something that we can visualize or intend. And then as we see the rose begin to wilt or begin to decay in any way, we start to know that our boundaries have been crossed. And so it's just this kind of little visual cue that we can tap into throughout the day. If it's looking vibrant and amazing, we can change the color of our rose, all throughout the day, however we want. But Spirit is saying this is just a way to help the human be in sync, the physical and the light body at the same time. We're also being encouraged that we're going to be given a lot of opportunities to restrain ourselves instead of jumping into help before we're asked. And it brought up a laugh in me when Spirit said this today, because Spirit used to say to me, "That's not your weave." And I'd be like, "What?" Because everything was my weave. Like if there was a gap in the weave, I'd jump in and help. Like, here's my weave, that's my weave, this is my weave. And it got to the point when I started really releasing a lot of my overlays and why I was jumping in to help all the time, that it would just become humorous. I would just hear, "That's not your weave." And I would let someone else in Zumba handle the spider that had crawled into the room. And so I began to really benefit from that phrase. So if you're someone who kind of jumps in to save the weave at all times, you may need a little voice in your head as well. That's not your weave. This is also a caution from Spirit to avoid forming unhealthy relationships based on someone needing us, as being needed right now is not where we want to go. The last thing was just knowing where we're trying to fix or to help a situation, once again, that is not ours to fix or to help.